God with you. We are finishing up another week of insights to the end times, studying where we are in God's timetable as we approach the end of this age or the end of the world as we know it. I'm going to be sharing a review of the timeline, God's timeline, later this week, so I do and hope you'll tune in and hear that message. This morning we are in a couple of verses. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. The latter portion of that talks about people will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons. I want to talk about these doctrines of demons with you for just a moment, because a lot of times we're not paying attention to them. But in essence, these are demonic, anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-Bible, anti-church, anti-belief doctrines that people are deceived into thinking and believing. And it affects the way you think, it affects the way you act, it affects the way you believe. We are transitioning in life over from a time when we trusted people, trusted statements, trusted the news, trusted the authorities. We're transitioning to a time when you can't do that. You are going to be deceived if you do that, because the Bible says in these days in which we're currently living, these last days, good is considered evil and evil is considered good. And we'll look at that this week in the last couple of sessions we have left this week. But these doctrines, these demonic doctrines, they affect our laws, they affect our disciplines, they affect our overall belief systems. And that leads me to Matthew chapter 24, where Jesus is prophesying signs of the end. And he says we're going to not only see deception, take heed that no one deceives you. Verse 4, verse 5, many false prophets will attempt to deceive you. He also indicates in verse number 6, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. And in verse number 7, he says we're going to see nations rise against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms, in addition to natural things like famines and pestilence and earthquakes. So I want to look at the nature of the war and nations against nations and so on with you today, because I don't think we're really paying attention the way we should, especially as it pertains to these are signs of the very end. Now, Lucifer, we know him today more as the devil or Satan, but in the very beginning, he was one of the three archangels that God had created. There's Michael, he's the warring angel. There's Gabriel, he's the he delivers the prophetic words of God. And then there's Lucifer, the leader of praise and worship in heaven. And when you read about Lucifer, my gracious, I'm going to read some verses to you. It is amazing about Lucifer and his role in heaven, leading praise and worship. Now, unfortunately, Lucifer rebels against God, and he convinces 1/3 of all the heavenly angels to follow him, and their name is changed from heavenly angels to demons. But in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 15, it talks about what we have come to know as the 5 I wills of Satan. Here are the verses. Verse 12, how you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the earth. You have weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, here we go, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And then God says, you're going to be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. Now, Sheol is a term that also refers to Hades, or we use the term hell quite a bit. But there's 5 I wills here. And what Satan is doing is he's rising up against God. He's bringing his attitude and his position He's already one of the senior angels. He's one of the three archangels, but that wasn't good enough for him. He says, I'm going to ascend into heaven. That means I'm going to assume the heavenly role of leadership. I'm going to exalt my throne above the stars of God. I'm going to sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I'm going to ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'm going to be like the Most High. He says, I will be like the Most High. What Lucifer is saying is, I am not content to be under God's authority. I know that God is God, but I'm so senior. I'm going to arise and I'm going to be like God. So right from the very beginning, just after the Garden of Eden, right from the very beginning of creation, Lucifer, Satan, the devil, has been warring against God. And that's where all the war, all the conflict, all the nations against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms, that's what it relates back to. That's where it got its genesis or its start, and it's continuing all through these many, many, many years. We are in conflict. I want to share more with you tomorrow on this point because it's really quite interesting. I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in today.